right, well, welcome back to Appodlachia. My name's Chuck Cora, and I'm joined by the legendary Big John Eisner. And John is in the great state of West Virginia right now, where finally, after he was drug kicking and screaming, Governor Jim Justice finally gave in and did some sort of mask mandate type thing. So now the people of West Virginia will be semi-protected from each other with a statewide mask mandate indoors. Is that correct, John? Do you feel safer?
No. Here's why. It's a really good thought, right? It's a good thought, and I give Big Jim credit on this one that he actually did, the right thing. However, in the same press conference, he said, "You will not be punished for not wearing a mask."
Oh, good.
So, there really is no mandate, Chuck. The mandate comes from what everybody already could do anyway, and that's where stores can mandate you to wear a mask, which they could already do. It's kind of funny, though, because, this will hurt his re-election chance, and it literally was unneeded because it's not doing anything. So, yeah, I mean, he's pissed off his own side on this, and it's not helping anyone.
Right. Well, and it was a good idea 3 months ago,
right,
when this pandemic started, or even 2 months ago when mandates started coming through the door. But of course, that was back around the time that he was saying if you wanted to go to Robert Evans, and you should go to Robert Evans. So we all know how that went.
Well, he also, in the press conference, speaking of Robert Evans, said, if you go to Robert Evans or any restaurant, you walk in with a mask, you sit down, you take said mask off, you eat, you finish eating, you put mask on, you walk away. Those are his instructions.
So he found it necessary to explain that to people.
Well, to be fair, I mean, some people probably needed that. I don't know. I mean, there's so many. If you scroll Facebook, which don't because it's toxic, but I've done it for you because, I'm toxic. So it's all just a bunch of bullshit of people being like, these are our rights and you're taking them away and yada, yada, yada.
Ain't nobody bitching about seatbelts, though.
Why didn't people, how come I don't hear people bitch about no shoes, no shirt, no service?
They'll bitch about adding more clothing to your body, but not less, I'll tell you. Well, I speaking of Facebook, I hate Facebook, but sometimes I can't help myself, and speaking of going down a rabbit hole, I always like to go to the comment section of the Parkersburg News and Sentinel.
Oh,
just to humble myself a little bit that there are a lot of people out there that are insane. And it took me 2 clicks, literally. I'm not even kidding. 2 clicks. I saw an article. It was about the mask mandate that Justice put together. 2 clicks. Clicked on the comments, saw a crazy comment, clicked on a person's profile. Took me 2 clicks to get to this conspiracy-laden rant where this woman was accusing Gilead, the pharmaceutical company that developed a treatment for coronavirus called remdesivir, that Gilead was making the, quote, coronavirus cure out of a lab in Wuhan, China, financed by George Soros. Well, they also said Bill Gates, too, was involved for the record. So, and he's a relatively new one on the scene of right-wing conspiracy theories.
Yeah, he's really come to the forefront. I'm waiting for them to pull up Warren Buffett, be like, he's the one. He's eating because he eats McDonald's every morning. If you don't know that, he's eating his Egg McMuffin and making sure that we have to wear our damn masks.
Yep, right. QAnon said something about it on a forum the other day. I'm sure. Jesus. Boy, coming off of that, it's like, can you even talk about anything else? But we have to. That's why we're here. Today, John, we'll be getting into this in just a little bit, but boy, I'll tell you what, we were going to start this episode today doing one of our more evergreen episodes on Appalachian stereotypes. We got a lot planned in the pipeline down the road. We were going to do one of them, but then we got a DM about a video.
This DM led us to what I think, Chuck, could be, speaking of putting on a mask, the fakest YouTuber I've ever watched. Now, I don't know. Could be. We're going to do a little bit of an analysis, and we're going to talk about it.
Way to tease it out, Big John. Well, first, we normally do an Appalachian of the Week, as ye who listen to this show weekly will know. But we're going to do a little bit of a remix on that. Since the murder of George Floyd, John and I have been reevaluating a lot of, what we talk about on Appodlachia and how best we can talk about the Black history in Appalachia and the contributions of Black Americans to Appalachia. Because, number one, it's something that a lot of people, I think, don't know about the region at all. And one of the common stereotypes about Appalachia is that it is all white. So we want to try to do something that highlights notable Black Appalachians for our Appalachians of the Week for the rest of this month. We're going to be talking about a Black Appalachian each week for our Appalachian of the Week, and we're going to be highlighting some of the important things that they're doing for the region and a little bit about them. And so this week, I chose a man who is an incredible human being, Frank X. Walker. He has a huge resume, John. He is a self-described multidisciplinary artist from Danville, Kentucky, founding member of the Appalachian Poets, and a professor of African American and Africana Studies at the University of Kentucky, and probably most notably was the Poet Laureate of Kentucky from 2013 to 2015, which I, before doing this, did not even realize that Kentucky had a Poet Laureate. Frank is notable for many reasons in Appalachia, but one of which is that he coined the term Appalachia, which signifies the importance of the African American presence in Appalachia and is a perfect jumping off point for what we're doing by highlighting Black voices in Appalachia. And so he said, the new word spoke to the union of Appalachian identity in the region's African American culture and history, and it's dedicated to deconstructing and forcing a new definition of what it means to be Appalachian, which is pretty damn cool. He's published, by my count, based on his website, 9 different volumes of poetry. And in June 2020, the city of Lexington, Kentucky, put up a sculpture to promote solidarity in their hometown, or in their downtown, in the wake of the protests over racial injustice. The words on the sculpture were taken from a poem by Frank and read, "Unlearn fear and hate." He's a pretty impressive guy, one that I personally did not know anything about before starting research on this entire episode, and so I was really excited to learn more about him. And I purchased one of his poetry books, and John, I would like to read a poem from it if you would indulge me.
I will indulge.
Well, thank you. So this is a poem from his collection of poetry, Appalachia, and this is actually the poem Appalachia. Thoroughbred racing and hee-haw are burdensome images for Kentucky sons, venturing beyond the Mason-Dixon. Anywhere in Appalachia is about as far as you could get from our house and the projects, yet a mutual appreciation for fresh greens and cornbread, an almost heroic notion of family and porches makes us kinfolk somehow. But having never rid bareback or side saddle and being inexperienced at cutting, hanging, or chewing tobacco, yet still feeling complete and proud to say that some of the bluegrass is black. Enough to know that being colored and all is generally lost somewhere between the Dukes of Hazzard and the Beverly Hillbillies, but if you think making shine from corn is as hard as Kentucky coal, imagine being an Appalachian poet.
Damn.
That's some powerful stuff. I love this book. I encourage everybody who's listening to go out and get it. You can get it on Amazon, or I think the publisher's website, Appalachia, or any of the other works of poetry that Frank has published. They're really good and tell an important side of the story of Appalachia that I think seldom doesn't get talked about enough, which is the Black history of Appalachia.
these are the people that we should be focusing on. These are the people that we should be highlighting, and I'm glad we're doing it. Frank Walker is, I mean, okay, I'm going to be honest. I'm not a poetry type guy. I did like forensics and debate, and I had to do poetry. It's fun, and sometimes I like it. I love the stuff that you've told me about and the poems that you've read, because those pull me in. And if an artist or a writer or an author or anybody like that can pull me in, I'm sold, because I've got all that ADHD and it's really hard to pull me in all honesty. This guy does it. These are the people we should be highlighting. I'm really happy we're doing it.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that something that's interesting about Frank is that he does use poetry to tell the story of Appalachia, which I think is very uniquely Appalachian, right? Appalachians use folklore storytelling songs to tell the story of a region, and Frank uses poetry, and it's really beautiful, and it's really biting and brooding and sometimes humorous. It really, I think, is important and tells an important story, and he is a really important voice, especially in Appalachia right now, with all the racial injustice that's being highlighted day in and day out for everyone to see, but that's been rippling below the surface for a number of decades. He's a really important voice that we want to focus on. And so I highly encourage you all to go out and look up some of his poetry, buy some of his collections of poetry online, and support him and other Black Appalachians.
In this town, baby, I can never get away. I don't want to leave, but you know I can't stay. There's something about these hills and those country roads that make me feel at home. In this town, we laughed, we cried.
So here we go. I don't even know how to introduce this properly. So John alluded to a DM in the beginning of the episode about a video on YouTube, and that video is the source and subject of this episode today. The video is called Inbred Family, the Whitakers. And now I can probably guess what you're thinking right now. You hear the term inbred and you're like, here we go again. Well, if that's your reaction, then that is appropriate, because here we fucking go again. John, why don't you give the listeners a little bit of background into this video and the person behind it?
Well, I'm going to try and do this as objective as I can. So we'll get to the subjective part. Let me be a little bit
gracious of you.
Well, I do have my moments, and this will probably not be one. So this guy, his name is Mark Leda. On YouTube, he goes by Soft White Underbelly.
No, that's not John's wrestling name. That's the name of the channel.
I swear, I'm going to steal this fucking name, and I'm going to call up Corey
Ryan Forrester, a.k.a. the Buttercream Dream.
Exactly. It's going to be Buttercream Dream versus Soft White Underbelly.
Oh, my God.
What a fucking matchup. All right, back at the issue at hand. Mark is up-and-coming YouTube. I don't know if I'd call him up-and-coming, because he has had a very successful career. We're not going to shit on that. He's actually a pretty impressive guy. I'm going to do a little brief synopsis of Mark, but if you want, go look up more of him. So for his career, he was an advertising photographer. We've looked up and seen that he did a lot of photography, I think, for 10 years for Apple. So, I mean, he's a pretty connected guy. He is not afraid of, being able to create content on the internet. So one of his key things is that he has had this kind of revelation, I guess you would call it, that he is tired of helping wealthy corporations become even wealthier, and now he wants to do this YouTube channel where he focuses on people that quote-unquote need help. Sounds all in good, right?
Sounds very noble.
We like that. That's cool.
Don't have anything against that.
So he started Soft White Underbelly, his YouTube channel, to display, quote, broken parts of society, end quote. All right. Again, that's cool. the narrative here sounds good, Chuck. What do you think?
I think, it's got the makings for something promising, but, well, I don't know, John, the way that you lead up to this and all the background information and research that I've done on this would suggest otherwise.
Yeah, also the fact that we're doing a whole fucking episode on this, so...
Yeah, there is that.
We, unlike Mark, we're not very clickbaity. We come up with titles that no one probably understands except us, but we like it that way. Mark, a little bit different, and we'll get into that.
Yeah, everybody has their own style.
And it works for YouTube. I'm not gonna shit on that.
Yeah, got more views than we do. Yeah, I mean, so real quick, like this guy, we're gonna go a little bit into his background, but to give you just a brief overview, he posted this video entitled "Inbred Family: The Whitakers." About this family in a small town called Odd, West Virginia. It's in very rural Raleigh County. Already you can kind of, see where this is going. And we will get into the problems with all that. But to give you some necessary background into Mark, he, like John mentioned, worked a long time in corporate advertising, was very successful. And he started this YouTube channel and has been routinely scouring places like Skid Row, looking for people to interview, lots of sex workers, lots of people who have been addicted to drugs. His YouTube channel has over, I think, 200 videos on it of these interviews that he's done with people. So you can kind of get a sense already of what this guy's deal is. He's going around, he's doing sort of these man-on-the-street interviews in a way a little bit more formal than that. He rose to prominence, though, after interviewing a sex worker named Kelly. The video itself went semi-viral. I guess it got over 5 million views. His subscriber count ballooned overnight. He then started monetizing his YouTube channel shortly thereafter. But he ran into some hot water when he did this because he did a huge no-no, which is that he published the sex worker's video with her real name. Though he eventually took it down, doesn't necessarily add enough forethought to the subject that he's interviewing, and really, I think, just kind of wants to get the content there because he knows that it'll get clicks. And he says when he does these interviews that he gives people between $20 and $40 to people who are willing to tell their stories. And he says those more at risk of being exposed, such as, in his words, pimps, drug dealers, or sex workers, he gives them up to $100, John.
Ooh-wee. One hundo.
There it is. Yeah, well, and just to kind of to give the listeners a sense of where this is going, the same Washington Post article said that the growth of his channel has sparked conversations with TV networks. They didn't mention who, but TV networks and about potentially making this into a show, what he's doing with soft White Underbelly. So you can already tell that this guy who's doing this, he's got some ambitions for what he wants this project to be, and we're not here to question necessarily those aspects of his motivations, but there's a big financial motive to this, and to, say, getting your videos noticed, right, John?
Yeah, I mean, why else do you create content at this level, and especially the number of videos that he's created? It's a massive amount. I think it's 349 videos, 200 of them coming in the last 6 months. This is a job to him, which is fine. There's a lot of YouTubers that, that's their job. But you got to call a spade, just like everybody else is getting called out in terms of YouTubers. You got to call someone out when you think they're exploiting someone.
Right. And when even if they're not exploiting them, or maybe they're not doing it intentionally, if they're profiting off of other people's vulnerability, and that's the biggest thing with these videos. And that's where we come to the subject of inbreeding, which is something that Mark Leda has actually been covering a lot over his years, or at least so he says. So turns out he's been photographing quote-unquote inbred people for quite some time. As we mentioned before, he had a career, a very successful career as a photographer. So he would occasionally do portraits. He would take portraits of people, and he arranged a lot of them in a number of books, like coffee table books that he would sell. 2 images that he took of alleged inbred people, again, doesn't actually provide any evidence that these people are inbred, merely is operating off of his own assumptions. He had these pictures, and they're actually available for purchase, John, at the Fahey Klein Art Gallery in Los Angeles, California, which I reached out to inquire about this photograph. Still have not heard back from them from my burner Yahoo account, but hoping to hear back any day, John, about the price of those.
Great. You gave it away. They're listening right now, and you gave it away.
Well, I don't think they're ever going to get back to my yahoo.com burner account at any time or any point.
Well, then Mark should be pissed because, I mean, he's missing out on potential fake
customers.
customers.
Listening, there's something you can do to change that. So he published this photography of these alleged inbred people in a book called Created Equal, where he has a lot of different people from different walks of life photographed together, big coffee table book. John, how much do you think that book goes for on Amazon to this day?
They pay me $30 to take it.
Well, that's generous. I don't think Amazon pays you anything because they definitely don't pay their workers much, so that was a bad guess. Try again.
But I'm going to guess all that work. I'm going to, on the high side, say $70.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Close, I would say. So I'm here on Amazon. Okay. Mark Leda, Created Equal by Ingrid Sischke. I'm guessing that was the person who probably wrote some of the content in the book. Right now, Amazon has it available for the low price hardcover of $902.31.
You mean to tell me that I got to sell a LeBron James rookie? No, that is fucking obnoxious.
Well, but wait, John, let's not jump the gun.
Okay,
here,
all right, sorry.
That was a hardcover.
Oh, give me the soft cover for soft white underbelly.
Okay, well the paperback cover is $249.99.
Well, shit, that's a steal.
Yeah, but you can't get it on Amazon Prime. They do charge for shipping. What does this tell you? Not much, but we needed a little bit of context here. But here's the other thing, John, and this is, again, we're gonna get into the video that we're actually talking about, but I wanted to give this background on Mark Leda and his work, and I wanted to read this one review about this book, real quick. Can I read it?
Read it.
This has no scientific value. This is just one person on Goodreads.
Nope, this is science.
All right, well, this is science. Obviously, I do have a political science degree, emphasis on the science part.
Yeah.
And so I know science when I see it. This one review said, quote, "This collection reeks of unexamined privilege. As I turn the pages, I feel like I'm engaging in poverty and disaster tourism, and the ableist marginalizing and shaming slant to the naming of the photo plates is disturbing. How many photos are there of inbred relatives in this book? Why are so many of the women underdressed or portrayed as objects belonging to others? This is as disturbing as the little girl dressed in white as a trick-or-treater opposite the pedophile and rapist."
I thought our reviews were bad.
Well, this makes me feel a lot better, actually, about ours. Anyway, so that's a background on Mark Leda, the guy who's doing these soft white underbelly videos. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this and talk about the video itself. Inbred Family, the Whitakers. John, walk us through, take us on a journey about this video.
All right, well, imagine this, Chuck. You are sitting down at your computer. You're turning on YouTube because you've heard of this new video. It's a viral video.
Viral? Hey, that term is sensitive nowadays.
It is?
Coronavirus.
Oh, shit. Well,
I'm kidding. It was a fucking joke. You thought we were going to get canceled because of
fucking cancel culture, man.
Oh, shit. I mean the bacterial. It went bacterial.
Yeah, it went fucking bacterial. I mean, So there's something that people should know before I go into this video. There's many people that believe that this is the Whitaker family from Odd, West Virginia is a folklore. It's one of those things that people have been hearing about for years. Now, it could be that this is the family. I have no idea because he says their last name in the title, but there's really no confirmation of what their last name is in the video. And in fact, he claims to have been there 4 times and doesn't even remember their name. So he has to go through it again because he can't remember it.
Hate when that happens.
But anyway, he claims that this is the Whitaker family, like I said. From a point of view standpoint, you're looking at the point of view from him. So he walks up to this house. There are 4 people that are sitting on the porch, or they're in and out of this door that really kind of isn't a door. This house is what you would, if you think of Wrong Turn or any of those like stereotypical places, it's that kind of house. It's really messy. There are couches on the front. It's not taken care of. It looks dirty. It looks like it's been beat up, and it's one of the places that you wouldn't want to live. And the stereotypical home. That's all I can pretty much describe it as. I'm pretty sure that you can get the idea of it.
It's it's like a Jeff Foxworthy joke, basically.
Kind of, yeah. So obviously, it's a very, 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 very poor family. They're obviously struggling. Now, he walks up and starts to interview them. He has them introduce themselves because he doesn't remember their names. Then he, in particular, starts to interview one of them, and his name is Ray. So Ray doesn't really speak. He makes noises, and those noises that, if you go look at the comments, are kind of compared to like a bark, I guess you would say. But he points and he, tries to gesture, but he doesn't speak very well at all. I don't think he actually says a word in the video, so he obviously struggles there, and that's fine. But in particular, this Mark, the interviewer, decides to put Ray at the forefront of asking him questions when he knows that this is kind of a issue for him. Now, there is a person there that I believe is Ray's sister, from what I can tell. Is that what you got?
I mean, I think so.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say it's Ray's sister. She speaks, pretty well. She is able to have a conversation with Mark, but again, focuses more on Ray than anyone else. Going through it, he asks very invasive questions. He even tries to kind of get them, he kind of baits them into saying that they're incestuous. He says, I've heard things about you. I've heard things about your family. You all have a condition that is created because your parent, he keeps baiting them through it. We all know what he means. They really don't confirm it. I mean, Chuck, did you think that they did?
No, they didn't at all. He was trying to bait them the whole time.
The whole time. I mean, he literally is, I've heard these things and yada, 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 which, again, a lot of people have heard those things because a lot of people believe it is a folklore of West Virginia. It's one of those things that has been kind of talked about throughout.
Well, and for the purposes of the video, he's trying, I think this is our opinion. He is trying to get them to say that their parents were related, that they were incestuous, and that is why they have these conditions. And it's pretty clear that he's trying to prod and get them to answer in that direction. They don't. And look, when you're watching this video, and we don't encourage watching it, we don't want to give them any more views, but they have an appearance that, like, stereotypically is associated with incest. We're not trying to opine one way or the other if these people were a product of an incestuous relationship, because that's not really the point.
No, the point is this guy wants them to say it so he could fucking use it as a snippet to get views.
Exactly.
That's why he does it. That's also why he decided to make it the title he did, even though he doesn't confirm it. This is clickbait worthy. That's why he did it. Now, it's one of those things that, again, I don't give a shit what the sexual relations are of this family. Like, it's, first off, none of my business. The fact that it's a YouTube video is pretty weird in my opinion. Second, Chuck, I don't know if they even know it's a YouTube video. It's
impossible to tell.
That's a problem too. It's like, obviously they were very specific and very open on how they lacked education. So, I think they talked about like dropping out and really early and stuff. I think, was it Ray that was the only, no, Timmy was the only person that had a high school diploma.
Right. Well, and he says that he gets all of his subjects to sign a release when he interviews them. Right. But first of all, we don't see this in the video, and with some of the individuals in the video, it's difficult to say whether they would have the requisite capacity to be able to sign that document and understand what they were signing.
Yeah, and
we're not here to question the legality of it, but these are the questions that we have.
And I have bitched and moaned about the lack of broadband throughout rural areas. It is clear that this house does not have broadband, nor does it probably have internet. Again, I don't know if they even know it's a YouTube video. So it's kind of like a video being made about you, but you never get to see it. And, who knows what they would actually think if they saw it. But I digress. So
as he claims he's interviewing these people, he's trying to ask them questions. They answer some of the questions, pretty short answers, not really super substance filled. So it's not really clear what the goal of the interview is and what the value of it is, but it's clear that there's a lot of discomfort in the video. But here, and this is where I think you and I take a lot of issue with, is how he characterizes this video. And so this is a description. John, I'm going to read directly from the description that's on the YouTube video. Quote, "There is no way I would be able to confirm that the Whitaker parents were related, but given that this does happen in this part of the country, and the Whitakers are the most extreme case I've seen so far, I would bet that inbreeding was at least partly responsible for the mental and physical abnormalities seen in Lorraine, Freddie, Ray, and Timmy." So already we're dealing with a professional inbreeding spotter here. That was not in his resume, but so good to know.
He has a weird obsession with with incestuous families.
Very weird, very weird. And so reading from the description again, it says, "To be clear about my intention with the family, I brought them pizza and soft drinks and paid them nicely, which goes a long way in southwestern West Virginia, where the average yearly income is as low as $12,000 a year in some counties. This was my fourth visit, and I've given the family a financial gift each time." So let's break this down a little bit here, John. First of all, the description here is this presumption of assholish privilege and a lack of understanding that makes my fucking ears bleed. Like the Steve Irwin of rural poverty, going in here saying, like, what you guys don't understand is that these people are incestuous because I know, and you don't understand that I give them a lot of money and it goes really far here.
Didn't you say that one of his books or something like that was either titled or linked to being like Created Equally?
Created Equal, that was the name
right.
of them.
This guy has a book named Created Equal, when in fact his entire YouTube channel is focused on showing people who were not created equal.
Yeah, it seems like there's already a little bit of a flaw in the design, huh, John?
I don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't.
Well, I don't either. It's really, look, it's almost like we're beating a drum that we've played year after year, but it's the air of condescension is something the Appalachians are very familiar with people who aren't from here or who don't take the time to understand the region and people from it. This type of money goes far here, assuming that people don't understand that poverty impacts all aspects of this country. I mean, the guy is wandering around on Skid Row where people don't have any money and they live in Los fucking Angeles, which is one of the most expensive cities in the entire goddamn country. It also just assumes that, well, I've done my due diligence here because I've seen lots of incestuous people, so I know that I'm right, and I gave them money, so everything's fine.
And the fact that his own description says, I can't confirm if their parents were related, but in the title of his video, he confirms it.
Right. Like,
what? If you're gonna go out and say it, don't hold back. Tell us how you really feel, but do not try to play us, because it ain't gonna work. The title of this episode will be Soft White Underbelly Creator Murders Woman. In the description, we write, we can't confirm if he's ever murdered this woman. That's what he is getting at. Now, you can make any fucking... you could say anything you want in terms of what you think of this family. That is your opinion, whatever. But to create a YouTube video that 100% says that this is a confirmed case of incest, when in your own description you say that it's not 100% confirmed, it's ridiculous. This guy doesn't have the credentials to do these things. It's irresponsible. Again,
it's irresponsible clickbaiting.
Yeah, you can say what you want. Like, why don't you just say, like, in the description, possible, and just why don't you actually say what your description says? You know what I mean? It's just, and the reason why is because if he wrote Whitaker family from Odd, West Virginia, it would get 0 clicks.
Yep.
But
he knew.
He knew. And Chuck, the weird thing about this, you and I, we looked up the tags of his videos before this. All of his tags were only Soft White Underbelly, which makes sense. That's his channel. But on this one, he made sure to tag incestuous, or what was it? Inbred Family. That's what it was.
Inbred Family.
He made sure to put that in there because he knew it'd get clicks.
This is the exact same playbook that clickbait websites use to get clicks. It's just so disingenuous. It is saying something in the title to get clicks, then admitting, well, I don't really know what I'm talking about. It's stupid. And he doesn't provide any evidence whatsoever. It doesn't matter. Like, it does not matter if they're inbred or not. Again, I will say that. It does not matter. It is not really my business. You can think what you want of this family. Their living situation is really sad. And really, it looks like, by all stretch of the imagination, like a really, really difficult way of life. But it's not for us to be the judge and jury of that. It's not his story to tell, and it's not his story to profit off of.
You're not doing the thing that you're claiming to do. You're not helping anyone. That fucking Little Caesars pizza and that Mountain Dew didn't do shit. I hate to tell you that, Mark. Didn't do shit. And probably the financial gift that you actually don't disclaim does nothing either.
You will recall that I said he gave them pizza and soft drinks, I guess as a peace offering or something. Or I cannot help but think that this perpetuates one of the stereotypes that you and I talked about in a previous episode, Mountain Dew Mouth, about drinking soda. So if you notice in the video, almost all of them have a soda bottle that they're holding on to. Now, was that the soda that he gave them, or was it one that they had before? I don't know. But he's giving them soda, and you can't help but ask, did he do that on purpose because he wanted to give that imagery? That's not for me. I'm not saying that he did that. But it is very coincidental.
You can make any art. I don't know Mark. Mark is probably a decent person, right? And maybe he started this YouTube channel and this series to really help people. There are videos on his YouTube channel that seem to be okay. And you look at the titles, they're not as clickbaity, but they have about, 1.8 million views less. So I think Mark's starting to figure out YouTube. But anyway, Mark's, he might be a good guy. Maybe he thinks he's doing the right thing. This comes off really shitty, and the fact is, you can't tell me that you couldn't have interviewed them elsewhere. Maybe they don't have transportation. Let's make that argument. You can't do it while they're walking. You can't do it while, you had to do it at their house. You had to make sure that you walked inside their house, which I thought was the weirdest thing. Like, he just walks right in.
When you mention that, it's worth dialing back to the very beginning of the video where he has some scrolling text that talks about this, and it actually seems like he just intruded on them. So it says, well, this is talking about his first visit when he did the Created Equal book. When I first photographed them was in 2004. That visit was interrupted by an angry neighbor with a shotgun who threatened to use it if I didn't leave. After explaining what I was doing, he calmed down and allowed me to photograph the Whitaker family. So it goes on. In July of 2020, I recorded a bit of video of something many of us have heard of but never actually seen. Again, alluding to inbred people. I strongly discourage anyone attempting to look for the Whitakers, as their armed neighbors and the Raleigh County deputies both made it clear that curious visitors are not welcome. So it already sounds like he just showed up there unannounced and is just barging in on this family to get a video for his YouTube channel. Again, this all leaves a lot of questions here. We're not necessarily implying that these nefarious motives, but we are pointing out a lot of these coincidences and a lot of these curious questions that need to be asked that would lead us to such conclusions. Right, John?
Yeah, I mean, look, he could have done something to make this video have a point. I mean, something. Give us facts, give us statistics, give us something. I mean, he already claims that this happens in this part of the region, or, this region of the country. Show us some facts, man. Like, show us some statistics. Make your video at least mean something. Because the thing that bothers me here, Chuck, is that he started this YouTube channel, as he says, to kind of make a legacy of himself because he didn't like the legacy he was already creating. This isn't a legacy you'd want. Like,
you're not helping yourself.
Like, why? You're using a family to get views on an internet website.
You're using the stereotypes of a region, perpetuating them for your own personal gain.
Right, like, I just don't get it. I mean, look, I think that there are certain aspects of his channel that could be good and really eye-opening, but for the people in the comments that say that the people watching have the right to know that this is happening are wrong. You don't have that right. You don't have that right at all. Like, it's none of your business.
Because you don't. This tells you nothing.
Yeah.
This exploits one family by operating under a bunch of presumptions that are founded on nothing other than one guy's own belief that what he is viewing is substantiating his already held belief about a region. That's what this is. And lastly, we have to talk about the money thing. We're going to come up on that again. So he claims that and this is reading directly from the description again of the YouTube video, so he links to his Patreon. So that's presumably solely for his profit. And then underneath that, it says, there is now a Soft White Underbelly GoFundMe campaign to support this channel and to help some of the people in these videos. Here's the link. Let me read that to you again. And John, I want you to point out to me what is wrong about that description. There is now a Soft White Underbelly GoFundMe campaign to support this channel and to help some of the people in these videos. So, from that description, John, how much money is going to the Whitaker family or any of the other people? Some.
Maybe.
That's right. Some.
Maybe.
Some. Maybe.
They might be one of the lucky ones.
They might be. They might.
All right. A couple things here. First off, in my opinion, you don't start a GoFundMe to support your YouTube channel. And you sure as hell don't do it in connection with helping people who are much less fortunate than you or that you're claiming to help. Third thing, you already have a Patreon. Why do you need a GoFundMe?
Well, look, so this GoFundMe was started May 25th, 2020, so roughly a month and a half ago, raised $30,000 so far. Significant chunk of change. But who's it going to? We don't really know. So here's what John and I say. We're not, again, outwardly accusing this guy of being fraudulent about this or anything. We just want more information. So he should disclose how much of this money is going to these families or these people and who. How much are they getting? How much is the Whitaker family getting of this $30,000? How much is Kelly, the sex worker that essentially launched his YouTube career, getting from this? Just say it. Say it. If he discloses that, I will say this. If he discloses how much of this GoFundMe is going to the people that he does these videos about, and he lists them, and he says how much each is going to get, because this has a goal of $50,000, so presumably, if this is all legit, then he's calculated this all out. How much is going to go to the Whitaker family? How much is going to go to these other people? If he does that, I will personally donate to this GoFundMe.
You heard it here.
Heard it here from the horse's mouth.
You don't need to be secretive about it, because when you're secretive about it, you have podcasts like this, or you have YouTube channels, or you have content creators who are going to question your motives because you've not made your motives clear.
Yeah, if you don't give an amount, you give yourself a way out. Like we mentioned, he's got over 1 million subscribers, millions upon millions of views on his YouTube page, on his channel. And so presumably he could make a ton of money off of it. He claims that YouTube demonetizes some of his videos because of the content that is in them. Stories that contain sexual abuse and the like, he says, get demonetized by YouTube, so he's not actually making money off of them. We don't have any reason to doubt that that's the case, so we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But still, we would like some more information about things like the GoFundMe to better understand if any money is actually going to these people. It's totally, if he wants to do it, it's totally within his right, and I don't have any criticism if he wants to do a GoFundMe to fund this project. I don't agree with this video, and I haven't really watched many of the others, but that's his right as a creator, and we're not going to say that he's wrong for doing that. But if you're going to say that some of these people are going to get the money, then give us some more details, because that creates some doubt in my mind.
I'm still calling bullshit on this. Yes, I think that some of his videos do get demonetized, just knowing how YouTube has to act for certain advertisers. They don't want to be a part of some of the stuff he's posting. I fully believe him with that. But then it begs the question, why post something you can't monetize? And the reason being is because it gets subscribers. You turn subscribers into views. So he may not be getting any money off of a video that has, let's say, 1 million views. But we've already talked about how he uploads massive amounts of videos at one time. Like you said, 200 in the last about 7 months. Those other videos that are monetized will make money, and will make more money because of the subscribers that he gains from videos like the Whitaker video. So no matter what, this is benefiting him monetarily. You're not going to convince me it's not. But fully think that he is telling the truth about being demonetized on some of these videos. I buy that. I don't buy the fact that he's losing money. Don't believe that at all. And I don't buy the fact that, this doesn't help him. He's posting these videos that are controversial, that get more people to click, not solely because he's going to make money off that video, but he's going to make money off the videos coming. It's like when you sell somebody a car and you give them the ability to come back to your garage. You sold them the car one time, they have to come back for maintenance, you're going to make money all the way through that entire car's existence. It's the same way with a YouTube channel.
There you have it. Well, like I said, either way, whatever is true, tell us who the money's going to of these people that you've profiled, that you've done videos on, and then we'll donate to the GoFundMe. But I think to wrap this up, John, I'll premise this by saying that Mark Leda, very talented photographer. You look at any of his work, he does fantastic work. There's no doubt about that. I also don't have any doubt that some of these videos are really compelling and they tell compelling stories. Otherwise, he wouldn't be getting this type of attention and this type of views and this type of subscribers. But when you're doing something like this, you have a responsibility to tell the stories of these people accurately and fairly represent them. And I don't think that he did that with this. He admits it in the description of his video, and I think that's wrong. And I hope that this message gets to him, because these stereotypes are so harmful to Appalachia, especially to West Virginia. We have had pop culture on our ass forever with the incest stereotype. And whether or not this family is incestuous is immaterial, and it doesn't matter. What matters is how you're portraying them, and he does so without any knowledge of whether or not they're actually an incestuous family. And the interview itself is really, I don't think you can derive a lot of value out of it. I personally think that it is somewhat exploitative of this family. I don't know to what level they understood or consented to this interview or what was happening. Whether or not it was well-meaning, I don't think really matters, in my opinion. And I just think that more understanding of Appalachia as a region is required when you're doing something like this, because this perpetuates that stereotype. Over 1,800,000 views on this video in 3 days. That's how you perpetuate a stereotype like this in the modern era. It's not your Wrong Turn. It's not your Beverly Hillbillies. It's shit like this.
I guess my final thing on this is, look, I'm fine. I really, really, really don't give a shit whether or not Mark is making money. I think if you create content, you should make money. That's cool. If that's your job, that's whatever. Obviously, Chuck and I's goal is not that. Otherwise, we would quit our day jobs, I'm sure. But then we'd also go broke. But I digress. Mark's a talented guy. He is a guy that I think needs to learn how powerful his videos really are. And I'm not saying powerful in the sense of the stories. I'm saying powerful in the sense of the ripple effect that they create. I think that this is a person who has a very artistic side, very talented, but does not have the actual education. Not calling him dumb. Please don't jump there. I'm saying that he doesn't have the education in terms of, looking at this from a psychological perspective or from a sociological perspective. He doesn't do the research that is needed to make these videos. He doesn't include experts who are actually able to educate his audience. He doesn't give a purpose to his videos, and therefore, no matter what he says, it comes off like he's exploiting people. Point blank. If you're going to make content like this, you need to do it in a responsible manner. Currently, Mark is not doing that. Mark could obviously change. Mark is also welcome on this show anytime. He can come and talk to us about everything. We'd be happy to educate him on why his video is so bad for Appalachia and anybody associated with the region.
I concur. And we'd also be happy to help him tell that story of Appalachia in a way that fairly and accurately represents the region. All right, well, that was that. Whew, boy, that was that. I think, John, you mentioned earlier to me offline that because of the nature of this show, no beef today.
Look, I think everybody is pretty full after this episode. Had all the beef that they can handle, but I'm going to use this time to thank our newest Patreon, April. We really appreciate you listening and supporting us. We appreciate all of our listeners. It's really awesome how we're growing and we're seeing growth. The other thing I want to let everybody know is that we have a website, Chuck, and you know this. You know this because you built it.
Yeah, well, I will say it's still in beta, and by that I mean working out some of the kinks where I fucked it up the first time. But yes, we do have a website, Appodlachia.com.
Ooh, that's fancy.
I know, right? Yeah, you can go to it on your desktop or your mobile device. The mobile device is going to look a little bit funkier than the desktop right now. We're getting that fixed. So go there,
stuff.
Find all of our episodes on there. More information about us. We're going to have merch there soon available for purchase, and a couple other things in the future. So really exciting, and looking forward to hearing your all's feedback on that.
So check out our website, check out our Instagram, check out our Twitter, Patreon, Facebook if you still use Facebook, and make sure that you
join us back next week, where we'll have more awesome shit.